Hi guys, so today we'll be taking a look at dungeons, and honestly I still have mixed feelings about this whole thing that was implemented with this update. Now, dungeons have been overhyped for a while now, and apparently according to developers, it's content that's going to keep you engaged for 4 to 5 months. I think that's total BS. I don't know. Obviously, it is something that you probably will be doing for quite a while, some time until new things are being added into the game. That doesn't mean that it's going to keep you engaged whatsoever. But anyway, we're going to be taking a deeper dive into dungeons. At first glance, dungeons seem pretty underwhelming, to be honest. I like how people were miming, considering like how the game has been for a long time now. They were miming like how long is dungeons going to be content-wise. 2-3 hours, and at first glance, and for a lot of people, it might actually end up being like 3 hours. Just run it 3 times, just get your shrines and get your gold rooms on every floor, floors 1 to 3 for most people, 1 to 4 for some people, and that's it. But trust me guys, if you actually figure out a plan on how to farm dungeons, they are complete game changers. So there's obviously this thing that's a super luck orb in the dungeons, and there is an orb for every single map with varying prices depending obviously on which orb and which world it is. And these orbs are 100 times better than the standard orb. Now, this does sound pretty insane, 1 to 100, and while it does sound pretty crazy, it is as crazy as it sounds. That being said, guys, for Galaxy number 1 maps, we have to keep in mind that we have orb enhancers, which pretty much make the orbs 2.5 times better. So it is just 40 times better than your orbs on the open world. It is not 100 times better. It is only 100 times better for the Galaxy 2 orbs, for Whitebeard and for Kirito orbs. But this is something that only the best of the best players will be able to grind, and that's not even that much. But we're going to talk about Galaxy 2 orbs later in the video. We're going to be talking about Galaxy 1 orbs and how you can actually grind hundreds and hundreds of cosmic capsules for Galaxy 1 from the dungeons, which is pretty good if you guys want to go for godly events and stuff like that. So, I've been farming, I've been running around the dungeon for a while now, as you have seen, as I've been talking pretty much for like a minute or so. And I'm going to skip forward to pretty much just clearing the dungeon, at least all of the rooms. And as you guys can see, I have spent roughly 30 minutes running around, and I have gotten roughly 700 something thousand souls. Let's just say 800,000 souls just to round things up. Now, that is honestly not that good. Like, it took me 30 minutes of just the most boring content ever, running around for 800k souls, and you will see in a second how fast these souls actually burn.
A few minutes later.
Alright, so we're back at the orb, guys, which for this one, we're going to be using this orb since it's one that I'm interested. And as you can see, it takes 1k souls per orb in this particular one. Obviously, the price is varying. And considering we have 795,000, that means that we can open 795 orbs. Now, if you do 795 times 40, because we said that is the pretty much the multiplier difference, that would be equivalent to 31.8k orbs. In case you guys didn't really notice, I skipped ahead, and if you look at the timer, it is a little bit more than 3 minutes for those 795,000 orbs. Now, I'll show you guys a different strategy, which is actually the go-to strategy in order to farm as many as you can, because as you can tell, that is not that good. It's still better. It is still a lot better than open world hatching, but it is not that good. And the strategy, as you can see, I pretty much just re-entered the map, and our goal is going to be to rush over to the boss room, which is the purple boss room in the minimap, and we are going to be killing the boss. We're going to be collecting the souls, and we are not going to be going to floor 4, obviously. We're just going to be resetting the server. Coming back is going to be resetting the dungeon, and essentially the plan is you just want to farm the boss a couple of times, and then you just want to spend the remainder of the time before the 1 hour timer expires to open. Now, this will vary heavily depending on how much damage you have, but I'm going to give you some timers more or less just to give you a better idea of what you should be looking at. So first things first, the distance in order to actually get from the spawn point until the mini boss, that's the first thing that you kind of have to factor. And it is going to take you just a little bit of time. It should take you, I think, around 2 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, for my calculations. It's like a little bit more than 2 minutes, maybe 2 minutes and 10 seconds, something like that. Obviously, it depends on the amount of dashes that you have. And if you really want to min-max your speed, what you want to do is you want to use a mount as well in between your dash cooldowns. You can now use ground mounts in the dungeons. This was one of the new changes of the update. But yeah, it's going to take you a little bit more than 2 minutes to get to the boss. Let's just say 2.5 minutes, because there's people that don't have maxed out dashes and speed and stuff like that. And then obviously you have to sort of calculate how long it's actually going to take you to kill the boss. That's obviously varies on a lot of factors, how good your team is, and whether you use a damage pot or not. Personally, it takes me about 2.5 minutes to kill the boss. So all in all, that's about 4.5 minutes per run for me to complete a boss kill. And that should award you with 1.1 million souls, which is 1.1 thousand orbs. That's what it translates to, considering one is 1k. Now, you want to be repeating this process a couple of times. Obviously, if you do not use a damage pot, the speed will decrease furthermore. It's going to go down to something around 7.5 to 8 minutes in order to complete this whole process. So for somebody that's like a very strong player, you want to do this like 3, 4, 5 times, maybe 6 if you're like super strong. Like me with a damage pot, I could do this probably 6 times before I have to leave. Actually, maybe even 7 if you push this. And then what you want to be doing is you want to also factor the time that it's going to take you to get to that egg before you start hatching. Now, just to give you an example, I did make the mistake of teleporting out, but it takes about 2 minutes and 15 seconds to get to the orb from the start point. Obviously, the boss room is faster, so just go back directly from the boss room, turn around and go back from the boss room. You don't have to leave once you actually are done and you're going to open. And just to give you guys an average timer of how long you have to open, it's gonna take you about 20 minutes to open 4.5 million souls, which is essentially just 4 runs. Now, as we said, 4 runs should take you like 40 minutes if you don't use a damage pot, maybe a little bit less than that. I don't think you can squeeze 5 runs. So what you want to be doing if you are very strong and you don't use a damage pot, or if you're not that strong and you are using a damage pot, is you want to be running this for 4 times, and then you want to be going, and then you want to be spending those 4.5 million souls, which is about 20 minutes of opening. So that is the strategy. That's how you can get hundreds and hundreds of orbs using the dungeon and abusing this method with the boss reset strategy. This is by far the best method to farm souls at the moment. There is no better method, and obviously the prices will vary, so you have to sort of like do this yourself until you find a balance of how many times you want to kill a boss before you go open. That depends on your damage, that depends on whether you use a boost, that depends on which orb you are spending on. Obviously every orb has a different price. And if we are going to be talking a little bit about the better players, now the same strategy works with the last map, rather the last floor, floor 4. That being said, boss in floor 4 is sort of unkillable right now, especially if you're solo. So what you want to be doing is you want to be killing one of the mini bosses. It takes about 10 minutes to kill one of the mini bosses, and it awards you with 17 to 18 million souls. Now, the Kirito orb is 15k souls each, so you're kind of just going to have to do the math for that one as well. I think just kill the boss twice. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't really done that. It is a little bit of a harder one to do, and it's very tight for very little players. But yeah, like the main course of this video was just to show you guys the first part of the orb, like the floor 3 with most of the Galaxy 1 orbs, which I guess most people want to be using and where you will be spending most of your time. So that's pretty much it. Now, on the contrary, the bright side to doing this whole thing is that once you are actually done, what you can do is you can just teleport over here to virtual orb or whatever the hell you want to be opening, and you can spend the remainder of your luck boost here, so you're not gonna waste your luck boost at all, which is pretty much the most important boost and the most sought after boost. Like, I believe if everybody checks out their inventory, they're gonna have a gazillion of XP boosts, drop boosts, coin boosts. They will have a few damage boosts, and they will probably have no luck boosts left. So yeah, that is pretty much how to abuse the dungeons. Overall, it is a very good system, I guess. Like, if you are willing to grind and if you are strong enough to grind, because as you can tell, you have to be like, you need to have some sort of like power level right before doing this. Like, weak people will not be able to do what I covered in this video, but if you are strong enough, they're definitely a good grind. If not, as I said at the beginning of the video, just go ahead, hop on with some other people to help you. Get your shrines, get your one-time chests from the gold rooms, and that's about it. Don't really bother too much. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you found this video helpful. And yeah, bye.